Hey, everybody. How you guys doing, huh? Doing great? Just another day? Just another fucking great day in your life? Yeah, that's great. That's great to hear. Welcome to Wax's Podcast, episode 128. That's right, 128. It's a lot of episodes I've done. Let me tell you something. I don't know. I ain't going to tell you anything. I'm not feeling good today, man. Not physically. I'm fine physically. I just fucking woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Sometimes that happens. Just feel like shitty today. Feel mad. Feel angry. I don't know if it's the state of the world. I don't know if it's U.S. politics. I don't know if I'm not happy with myself and where I am in life, in my personal life. I don't know if I don't have enough support around me. Maybe I need a woman to guide me. Maybe I need a spiritual teacher to take me along and take my hand and guide me through this journey called life. Maybe I'm trying to do too much of it on my own. Maybe I just fucking had a weird morning. Maybe there's no real explanation to why sometimes people just wake up on the wrong side of the bed. To use the old phrase, the old idiom. Is that an idiom? That's not an idiom is just one word, right? I know what an idiot is. That's me. Today, because I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But I woke up on the wrong side of the bed. I woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Just feel a little angry today, y'all. Just feel a little bit mad for no apparent reason. Couldn't have woke up on the wrong side of the bed. One of these sides of my bed actually hits the wall. So if I woke up on that side of the bed and somehow fell between the crack between the wall and my bed, I think I'd have a lot more excuse, a lot more reason to feel as furious as I do this morning. But alas, I don't. Alas, I don't. Just another week, y'all. I don't know why I didn't do the podcast last week. I have no excuse. I'm doing the podcast this week for the first time using the program Logic rather than the program Pro Tools. For those of you out there that don't deal with audio engineering software, Logic is kind of an extension of GarageBand, which is the thing that comes with any Apple computer. It's a really simple way of recording. That's what GarageBand is, and Logic kind of takes that to the professional level. And since the studio computer in my house is shared by a few of us, and one of them being my roommate Davey, who upgraded the operating system. He decided to upgrade the operating system from fucking Apple iOS 70.5 to 70.7 or whatever the fuck it's called now. I guess they ran out of wild felines. Remember they used to be like tiger and leopard? Snow leopard? Jesus. That probably sounds like some shit that happened that's old now, you know? It's old news. But he decided to upgrade it, and you know what? Just as I suspected, just as happens almost every time you upgrade anything, which is why I never upgrade anything. I don't update, I don't upgrade, I don't upkeep, I don't even use the word up. Because alas, when he upgraded the computer, my fucking Pro Tools became virused out. My Pro Tools got an STD. My Pro Tools had an immune deficiency problem. Virus. I don't know. But instead of going up to the store and buying the new version of Pro Tools, upgrading it, probably getting even more viruses, because I don't understand computers, I said, hey, you know what? How about we learn something new? My roommates already use Logic. I already know Pro Tools. Why not learn another fucking skill? I decided I would learn how to use Logic. They're in my room. They're on my desk. On my desk in my room. I think they're on my desk. Yeah. Excuse me. People interrupting my fucking podcast. It's okay. I'm not doing anything. Don't worry about it. Just interrupt my podcast. It's okay. Sorry to waste your fucking... what was I saying? Yeah, learning new things. So I'm learning how to use this Logic program today, and it always does stuff that I don't understand. Like, for some reason, when I added the jingle to the session, the intro jingle, all of a sudden I could only hear out of one ear. You explain that to me. You explain that to me. That's how much I know about audio engineering. I couldn't even name one famous audio engineer in the moment. You explain that to me, Chris Lord. There, I named one. If you didn't understand what I was saying, I was trying to sarcastically use the name of a professional, like the way if you were playing basketball with your friends. Oh, look at Michael Jordan over here. Okay? That's what I was going for. So I don't really know how to use this shit. I'm getting better and better at it every day. Not that I use it every day. But I'm going to try to improve. I'm going to try to get better. And I'm going to try to become a better, more superior version of myself. Because that's what life is all about. You just keep learning. You just keep on learning. You're never too old to learn something new. And you know what? You can learn stuff from people that are younger than you. You're never too old to learn something new. And you can even learn from people younger than you. Wax's podcast. I'm pacing back and forth. Maybe it was the coffee. Maybe the coffee that I had was too strong today and just made the fury inside of me. Honey, I did the opposite of shrink the fury inside of myself. What's the opposite of shrink? Enlarge? Honey, I enlarged the fury. But it's never too late to keep learning, y'all, as evidenced by the things I've been doing in my personal life recently. Many of you will be happy to know that I spend a little less time. Don't get me wrong, I still fucking look at it every day. But as I was talking about on the last podcast, I feel like I spend too much time looking at politics stuff, watching the television. What the fuck? See, this thing keeps making weird noises. Perusing through social media sites, news sites, various sources of information, finding out what's going on with Donald Trump and his administration, finding out what the American people and the American media, the global media, are saying about these things. I was worried I was spending too much time looking at that shit, and you know what? I'm spending a little bit less time doing it now. Maybe that's scary. Maybe that's sad. Maybe it is sad that the craziness of the current state of the American Republic has become normalized within my brain. It's just normal for it to be crazy. Every day, 10 crazy things happen. It's like if you're dating somebody who says fucking... It's like if you're dating somebody who insults you all the time. You end up having to choose your battles. You know what I mean? You can't go to war every day. This fucking thing keeps making... Just calm down. Calm down. Breathe. Breathe in. Let all the air out. Breathe in cool, refreshing, new oxygen. Picture it as blue. And breathe out stale, hot carbon dioxide. Picture it as red. I don't know where I heard that. I heard that before some time ago, and I enjoyed it. You describe when you stop and breathe, think of the cool, fresh air you're breathing in as blue. Think of the hot, stale carbon dioxide that you breathe out as red. Which is weird because the plants don't think of it that way. Plants breathe. How fucking brilliant is that? The shit we breathe out, carbon dioxide is the shit that plants breathe in, and then their waste that they breathe out is oxygen, which is our fucking gold. The gold of our lungs is their diarrhea. Explain that one to me. Anyway, you keep learning. You keep on learning. You live and you learn. A lot of L's, you know. A lot of L's. What are those like posters you see on like college age girls' wall? Live, laugh, love, life. Love, laugh, live, life, learn. Bitches be taking L's. Anywho, you keep learning. You just keep learning. And the reason I brought that up was because I'm learning a new audio interface, Logic. I don't like it. I like aspects of it. The main thing I don't like about it is the fact that I don't know how to use it yet. What I don't like about the program Logic is the same thing I don't like about airplanes. I just don't know how to use them. I don't know how to fly a plane. If I knew how to fly it, I'd probably fucking love attempting to do so. Well, at this point, if I sat in the cockpit, I mean, might as well, whatever. I don't have a joke for that. But what I'm trying to get at when I say keep learning, what I'm trying to get at is, I picked up the guitar when I was 10. Started playing guitar when I was 10. I really liked playing it, and all throughout high school, college, and up till now, I've played the old 6-string. But for the 17th time on this podcast, I'm going to use the word alas. You get to a point as a rapper and songwriter, because let's face it, the thing that I'm best at in music is probably rapping. I'm decent at writing songs. So you start to just use the guitar here and there as a tool to write with, as an additional accompaniment to a track to make it sound a little fuller and brighter. And you know what? Sometimes you turn your back on the practicing that is necessary to become a better player. But a husband and wife get divorced. Sometimes years later they realize they made a mistake and they get back together. That is my relationship with the guitar, ladies and gentlemen. Because this whole year, 2017, I've been doing what musicians call shedding. Shedding means spending hours playing your instrument for your own enjoyment and also for the purpose of getting better. Gaining agility and mobility within your fingers. That's what I've been doing. Learning new chord formations, chord changes, chord progressions. Switching from chord to chord with what they call the quickness. Using your right hand in a picking motion to arpeggiate said chords. And you know what? Every day it gets smoother and smoother and faster, and it feels better. I get better at singing and rapping on top of it. And more importantly than anything else, I have a deep sense of enjoyment within my soul because you keep learning. As you get older, you don't stop learning. And one thing you learn about is life. You live, you laugh, you life, you learn. But you learn that all these goals, all these outward goals, like you're going to get this, you're going to get that. As a musician, you might say things like, you want to get a platinum album, you want to have a hit, you want to have a Grammy, you want to play at the Super Bowl. All great things to, what's it called? Aspire to. But anybody that's aspiring to do things like that will tell you that it's really mostly important that you like every day. Because if every day sucks, you're going to finally get to that Super Bowl stage and be like, damn, I did all that for this. Don't know if it was worth it. Don't know if all that misery was worth it. You got to make every day fun. You got to enjoy what you do. And you know what? I'm enjoying what I do right now. I'm not saying that I didn't before, but sometimes I fucking didn't before, okay? So I am saying that. So I've been feeling good, you know? A lot of us get enjoyment from work. A lot of us, our happiness derives from what we do for a living. Even if it's not, it doesn't have to be for a living. It doesn't have to be for a living. For a living is actually an interesting term. Because I guess it is for a living. The term for a living shouldn't necessarily mean to get money, to pay your rent and bills and all that shit. Could mean because we're living, you know, for our lives, for the betterment of the one life that we get. And right now, every single day, what's going on, man? No, you good. Hold up. We got a guest. I don't even know this person's. I'm sorry, I'm doing a podcast right now. We got Charlie Mikes in the building. Hold on, let me pause this real quick. If I can even know how to pause this. It is now hours later after I started the podcast. And, you know, as days do, they get better. Since recording this morning's anger-filled podcast beginning, the suns came out. I can see its rays illuminating my backyard through my door, through my glass sliding. Well, not sliding. It's not a sliding door, but it does serve the same function as a sliding door. It opens to the outside with glass panels that you can see whether you're in or out. And through those panels, I see the beautiful Southern California sun shining its rays upon the dirt of my backyard. Anybody that lives out here knows, dude, it's been raining like crazy out here. And my backyard actually has multiple blades of grass. It is not just the normal patch of dry dirt, sand that becomes mud during the occasional rain. Now there is actually signs of greenery poking through what once was a barren wasteland that is my backyard. And you know what? It looks beautiful. And it has made my attitude different. Made a track. Made a nice, sunshiny musical track in between this recording and the last. I don't even know what I was talking about before. You might say, you know what? Go back and listen. I don't have time for that. Podcasting isn't about professionalism. Podcasting isn't about consistency. Podcasting isn't about regularity as far as what I was talking about from beginning to end. I do know that I was talking about how this week I've been playing a lot of guitar and how as you live your life, you learn. Live, laugh, life, love, learn. And, yeah, I'm going to keep on playing. Keep on picking. Going to keep on picking. That's where I'm at this year musically, y'all. Sometimes, man, you can't guide the music. You have to let the music guide you. You can't do your art. You have to let the art come through. You can't do your music. Let the music do you. You can't do art. Let the art do you. Wait, I don't even know that. Damn it. Of course, I'm getting errors on this Logic system just like I was on Pro Tools. Doesn't matter. I still keep podcasting on. And we podcast on. Like the moon, bubba-dee, bubba-squee-dee-doo. Other things that happened this week. I had some friends from out of town. I played tour guide this past Saturday or Sunday, whatever it was. Got to play a little tour guide. And if you live in L.A. for a long time and you have somebody come to visit that's never been to L.A., classic places to take them. Hollywood and Venice Beach. We didn't actually make it to Venice Beach. We went to the other place, Santa Monica Pier. So that was fun. Went and saw the Hollywood and Highland is like where they have the stars on the ground. Everybody taking pictures by the Donald Trump star. There's other famous people, but right now he's taking the cake. That's where there was a line of people waiting to take their selfies as they lay on that dirty ground, getting heroin stains on their backs. You know, you see all the people dressed up as various characters from the movies, such as Spider-Man, Superman, Marilyn Monroe. And then we went to Santa Monica Pier and had a fucking beer at the end of the pier. Oh, dear. And, yeah, that was an interesting story, wasn't it? I know that a lot of you aren't listening to this part of the podcast because you rewound the last 2 minutes where I was talking about me being a tour guide due to its interestingness. Yeah, I don't know what else to fucking say. Let's do shout-outs and questions. All right, let's see. What do we got here? Shout-outs. Shout-outs for this week's podcast. By the way, I am now caught up. I'm officially caught up. As of 2 days ago when I answered all the emails, I answered every single one of them that's been sent to me. So if you want to get a shout-out, if you want me to answer your question on the podcast, if you just want to talk shit and tell me about how terrible I am and how bad I smell and things like that, just hit me up at beatsforwax@gmail.com. beatsforwax@gmail.com. And you can have your shout out read on the air, on the podcast air. And yeah, please do that if you've never done that before, or even if you have, because for next week's podcast, as of right now, I won't have any shout outs or emails. So hook me up. Went through all them motherfuckers. All right, we got shout outs from Jason from Texas, Dina from Phoenix. We got Dizzy Dizza, Andrew L, Clones 3K, Zach in Denver, Diana P, Princess Di. We got Nick in Florida, Gino in Nebraska, the one and only Jackie Sweetleaf. We got Mason in Colorado, Ingvar from Estonia. Ingvar, Ingvar, from Estonia. We got Vince from Jersey. Kevin, why does it keep doing that? Kevin B in Jersey. Matt O. The one, the only, Ed from Chicago. Levi from Iowa. Joey W from Alabama. Lamar from North Carolina, who was at the Greensboro, North Carolina show. Thank you for coming to that, Mr. Lamar. Well, not Mr. Lamar. Lamar, Mr. whatever your last name is. We got Dylan from Ireland, who recommends the movie Whiplash. Still haven't seen that. We got Mike from Long Branch, New Jersey. Dustin G. We got Ryan M., the songwriter. Jaden R. Austin the Awesome from Chicago. Luke G. in Australia. And we got Julissa from San Jose. Julissa. Also shout out to Eric B. Not Rakim's DJ, just another guy who happens to be named Eric B. And Eric B. also wants me to shout out at Mad Gecko Man on Instagram, and Daniel T for introducing him to Wax. All right, let's see. First email is from Jay Scott. It's Jay Scott. Hey Wax, it's Jay Scott. I was the one going crazy in the front row of the Long Island show and asked you to kiss my girlfriend on the cheek after the show at the merch table. She's still bragging about it. Fucking bitch. We spoke briefly on Facebook, but I figured I'd shoot you an email so you'd have some more content for the podcast. Just wanted to let you know, man, your show was top 10 nights of my life. Fucking epic. Can't wait till you're back in New York, bro. Keep killing it. Oh, and shout out to East Connection Media. Thank you so much, Jay Scott. That was a fun show. The Long Island show is a very small venue. The green room was a closet backstage, like a kind of like a little broom closet where they kept all the bleach and shit like that. Very small venue, but it was awesome. That was a very fun show. One of the ones where it was really cold. I remember going to the diner down the street. My boy Nomad was there. I remember that. Yeah, all around fun time. Thank you so much for coming, Jay Scott, and thank you for the praise, and thank you for the email, and thank you for listening to Wax's podcast. I don't know why I whispered it like that. I thought maybe it would sound interesting. Probably didn't, but we got another email. We got Ryan T. What's up, Wax? Just got back from the Dumbfounded/Year of the Ox tour in Toronto. Have to say that it's really crazy just thinking you and Dumb have been doing music for so long. For a lot of us who have been fans for nearly 10 years, it's incredible to say we actually grew up with you, your YouTube presence, music, etc., etc. At this point, are there OG podcast listeners? The ones that remember the Call Someone and Fuck With Them segment or the Wax's Hollywood Stories? Still can't believe I'm done university in 2 months and I've known you before I started high school. Do you still do stand-up comedy or has that taken a back seat after the Cookout Chronicles tour? Just wondering. Thanks for reading these emails and continuing with the podcast. Well, thank you, Ryan T., for being a long time listener of the podcast. I don't know. There may be some OG listeners. I don't know if anybody remembers those segments. Those didn't last very long. As I've said before, the Wax's True Hollywood Stories segment really only lasted as long as stories I have. And let's face it, this is episode 128. I don't have 128 cool Hollywood stories, especially considering at this point in my life, I don't really do a lot of Hollywood shit anymore. Not a lot of Hollywood stuff. Yeah, not a lot of like interactions with quote unquote celebs anymore in my life as I kind of become a more of a homebody in a sense. So that was probably why it was kind of fun to do the whole tour guide thing with my friends from out of town. You kind of realize how wacky this place is. Because it's definitely, at the very least, you can say Hollywood is an amazing... Hollywood, Santa Monica, Venice, all these places are good places to watch people. The Call Someone and Fuck With Them segment, I just don't have enough friends or people I know to call somebody every time. If I had a lot of friends and people I know, I probably wouldn't do a podcast by myself. I'd interview them. I'll try to do an interview one soon. I'll try to get somebody on here. One of my friends that does music or comedy or something. Speaking of comedy, you asked me about the stand-up comedy. It had taken a back seat. Wax, the stand-up comedian, had been out of work, out of practice, I guess, for a few months because I was concentrating on finishing that album, then doing that tour. But this year, on my little to-do list for 2017, whatever fucking year it is now, I can't even keep up with time, much less the day of the week. It's very hard for me to know what day of the week it is, although I know today is Wednesday because I see it on the top right of my computer screen, WED. WED. But yeah, I'm going to get back into it, man. I'm actually planning on actually. Now I'm planning on, like I've said before, like I've planned before, I want to combine the stand-up comedy with some of my acoustic music. And that's partially why I've been working so much on playing the guitar. Besides just having fun and enjoying myself and living life in the moment and doing what I love, I'm also working up to something. I feel like I'm working up to a special where I do a bunch of songs and do a bunch of material. That's what I'm working up to. And I got a bunch of new songs that I'm either finished writing or halfway done writing. And I'm going to do some stand-up material, then a song, and some stand-up material, then a song. Want to start doing a monthly show like I was doing last year at the beginning of the year, but I want to do it at a different venue. I'll let you guys know when that starts to take place. And the stand-up comedy will be in full effect. It might actually be more like sit-down comedy because I think I'm going to be on a stool playing the guitar, laid back, chilling, so the audience can lay it back and chill right along with me. Thank you, Ryan T., for listening. And thank you, Ryan T.'s mom, for having Ryan. This is from Petey Machete. I have a little request if you can do for the next podcast. My cousin was supposed to go with me to that show in Amityville That was also the Long Island show, Amityville, Long Island. But bailed on me the last minute. So you can call me a dumbass. Wait. Can you call me a dumbass ass nugget? His name is Armando. Wait a second. My cousin was supposed to go with me to that show in Amityville, but bailed on me the last minutes. Can you call me a dumbass ass nugget? His name is Armando. Well, Petey Machete, you just fucked up that pronoun. I'm sure you wanted me to call your boy Armando a dumbass ass nugget. But if you read carefully, you were actually telling me to call you that. Now, if you were the president of the United States, Donald Trump, you could get away with a grammatical error like that. No big whoop. But you're Petey Machete, so now I got to say it, Petey. You are a dumbass ass nugget. And your friend's name is Armando. That just sounded like an aside, you know. Oh, by the way, his name is Armando. You're a dumbass ass nugget, and your friend's name is Armando. Nah, that sucks he didn't make it to the show, man. Glad you were able to come, and glad I was able to meet you, Mr. Machete. P.S. I forgot to also leave you a Petey Machete pin. Guess next time I meet you. Damn. Yeah, maybe next time, man. Don't fucking stab me with that pin for calling you a dumbass ass nugget, though. That was your fault. Don't stab me with that pin. Speaking of stabbing people with pins, we're talking about, since I was with my high school friends, I think we might have been reminiscing on some high school shit. It made me think of this. There's a guy on my bus when I was in middle school. He was on the school bus. And he used to take a staple. And he would, like, turn the staple into, like, how did he do it? How did he do that shit? He would, like, stick a staple into, like, a pencil eraser or something and make like, an arrow. Was it a pencil? I can't remember exactly how I did it, but he would straighten the staple. Somehow he would flick the shit with a rubber band, and it would just stick into the back of people's necks on the bus. I had that memory recently. I don't remember exactly how he did it. But I was like, damn, that's pretty hardcore, pretty foul, and pretty fucked up. That's not like a spitball. That really could hurt somebody. Somebody turns around, bam, staple in the eyeball, you know? That is a vile prank. Anywho, okay, we got a last one's from Josh T from Rochester. Yo, Wax, love the podcast. Do you listen to other people's? If so, what? It seems like yours is a lot like Bill Burr's style of just rambling. I think this would be a good question for the podcast, since the people who would hear your answer might be interested in other podcasts too. Much love. Yeah, I don't listen to that many podcasts, actually. I actually started doing this one completely 100% inspired by Bill Burr's podcast, though. I'm a huge fan of Bill Burr's podcast. I haven't listened to it a ton recently, but listening to his was like, I was like kind of like, why can't I do one too? I wanted it to have all these segments. When I first started doing a podcast, I wanted it to be more like a radio show where I prep and I have guests and call someone to fuck with them and true Hollywood stories, but due to basically laziness, it's really become exactly the same format as Bill Burr's podcast. Obviously not as good, smooth, or funny as his, but it's just me talking, then me reading questions. And yeah, anybody that would ask me how I started doing a podcast, it was 100% pretty much blatantly ripped off from his. Other ones I listen to, I definitely listen to WTF Mark Maron podcast if there's a guest I like. He just does in-depth interviews with mostly comedians, but also actors, musicians. He just did one with James Hetfield from Metallica. So that's a great one, WTF with Mark Maron. Whether or not you like the first 10 minutes of his podcast where he's just talking, that's up to you. My boy Intuition has a podcast that's really just like Mark Maron's, except it focuses on indie musicians. He does his 10 minutes of rambling, then he does like an hour of interview. Shout out to him. I recommend that. That's called the Kinda Neat podcast. There's a podcast that I used to listen to called The Champs, but they stopped doing it. But still, there's a bunch of episodes you can listen to. That's a good one. That's in-depth interviews with comedians, mostly black comedians. And, the later episodes are better because the one host kind of learned how to not derail the conversation so much. I feel like the first couple episodes, the one host would just not let the main guest talk. There's a bunch of other good ones. I've listened to a bunch of episodes of Peter Rosenberg and Cypher Sounds one called the nbsp podcast. There's a bunch of good hip hop ones. What's his name? The one that EOM always listens to. The guy with the glasses. I can't remember his fucking name. Something like General. What the fuck is his name? General Bill. What is his name? Combat Jack. General Bill. The Combat Jack Show is a good one if you want to hear some good podcast stories. Any one of these podcasts. Also, the Drink Champs, which is sometimes unlistenable because people get too fucked up and Nori just talks over everybody. But when it's good, it's great. But any hip hop podcast where you can hear Fat Joe talk, I recommend. Fat Joe has awesome stories and he's just a funny dude. So any hip hop podcast with Fat Joe, I recommend. The Juan Epstein one, I think, was the one that first got me onto that. And also when him talking on the Drink Champs is great. Other podcasts. Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head, but yeah, mine was definitely inspired by Bill Burr. I've met Bill Burr a couple times through my boy T-Rex, who's good friends with him. He's opened up for, and I meet him. And it's kind of funny, like I've met some famous people and shit like that in the music industry before, but with him I was kind of like starstruck, because he's like a dude I really look up to, and he's really smart, and I kind of get timid in front of people like that. But I don't really get timid in front of most people, but in front of him, like I kind of like shut the fuck up and I turn into this like fucking shy dude. It's kind of weird. I guess I get starstruck the few times I've met him. And it's funny because I've had people, granted I'm not a fucking star, but I have people that come to my shows and I've heard people tell me to my face, they're like, whoa, this feels weird. I don't know what to say. This is weird. And I've never said something like that to Bill Burr, but I kind of get the feeling. of that. Trying to think if there's any other people that fucked me up, like starstruck wise. Because even through my boy T-Rex, I've met a few famous comedians. But I think it's more like when you really look up to somebody, like when somebody does something that you kind of want to do, such as a podcast, I guess. You're kind of like, oh, that's what's up. One of your heroes. Anyway, what else? That's the last of the questions. I don't even know, because I'm in Logic and I don't know how long these bars are. So I don't know, looking at this, how long this podcast has been going. All I see is that I'm on bar 1,149. Who knows how long these bars are? I'm sure I could figure out how to make this be measured in time units rather than bar counts, but can't tell off the top. So, hey, fuck it. Maybe this is a short podcast. Maybe it's a long podcast. I don't know. But what I do know is I want you guys to be safe out there.